I'm sorry, I've been talking on mute. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to NFT from Art to Code, a talk co-hosted by Blockchain at Tsinghua and Blockchain at Yonsei. My name is Jessica, and I'll be your host for today. Just to give you all a quick brief on our rundown, this event will run for around 1 hour. We'll first begin with opening remarks from THUBA, or Blockchain at Tsinghua, and Blockchain at Yonsei by our respective association presidents, Zio and Danny. Afterwards, we will also listen to insights on NFT by our speakers for today. We have Ekaterina from Liquidifty, as well as Johan and Kelly from Commitable. Each company session will last for around 25 minutes, including a 5-minute time for Q&A. Please feel free to drop any questions that you might have on NFT in our YouTube live chat box. We will then relay them to our speakers. And we also welcome all participants to join our after-event virtual happy hour at the Metaverse Gather Town. Don't miss out because I heard there will be some NFT airdrops in the session. Now I know you're all excited, and Subin from Blockchain at Yonsei will later share the Gather Town link at the end of our talks today, so stay tuned. Now without further ado, let's first welcome Zio and Danny to give their opening remarks for this session.
Hi everyone, I'm Zio, the president of THUBA. It's my honor to be here to introduce our association. THUBA is a student blockchain association in Tsinghua University, and we are a bridge between students and the blockchain world. We host events in both Chinese and English. We make a series of blockchain courses for students with different backgrounds and help students who like to join hackathons. We have partners like blockchain organizations such as Definity, Conflux, Plan On, Encode, and also we have partners like other associations from universities all around the world, like Berkeley, Peking, and Yonsei University are best friends. So welcome to today's event, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey everyone, good evening and honored to represent Blockchain at Yonsei in today's session. Blockchain at Yonsei is a university student blockchain DAO focused on research and education, and we are excited to co-host Liquidify and Commitable tonight for extending our frontier of knowledge for non-fungible tokens. Also, we have a great social session with quiz and prizes after guest speech, so please stay tuned till the end of today's event. Thanks for everyone from Tsinghua, Liquidify, Commitable, and Yonsei preparing and participating in today's session. Looking forward.
All right, thank you so much, Danny and Zio, for the opening remarks. Now let's welcome our first speaker, Ekaterina from Liquidifty.
Hello, everybody. Let me try to say Nin Hao. I'm not sure is my Chinese good or not, but okay, let's start. So, I'm introducing to you today Liquidifty, and it's one of the biggest NFT marketplaces on Binance Smart Chain. And firstly, let's talk about NFT. I hope you know that NFT is a digital asset that exists on the blockchain, a record of transactions kept on networked computers. The blockchain serves as a public ledger, allowing anyone to verify the NFT's authenticity and its owner. NFT is a non-fungible token, and unlikely to other tokens, it cannot be exchanged to the same one because of this unique. So there are different types of NFTs, such as images, videos, music, text, and even tweets. There are some arguments for an NFT, such as the future of ownership, and it means that the blockchain technology allows to make contracts secured from any changes. And it's important for both intellectual property and physical. Next, arguments for are additional monetization of digital artworks for artists, royalty after each artwork sale, easy transfer to the new owners, and all of them are because in the real world it's quite difficult to sell an artwork. The common scheme of income distribution for the sale includes a lot of participants. So the author of this artwork usually gets just a small part of the income, and the consumer pays extra money. Often the author gets everything that he can get just right after the signing of the contract. And it doesn't matter how many copies would be sold. I think, and we think, that direct sales would solve this problem because the transaction in the digital world can be performed in seconds, and a new purchase will be transferred to your wallet within a short time. So there is no need to additional assessment or work of lawyers or transport companies and all other subjects. It's just 2 clicks and you get it. But still, there are some arguments against an NFT, and they are read as this. There is no guarantee of NFT value. Anybody can create and share it. And there is some risk to be scammed. Well, since this technology is applied to digital world, we can consider only modern artworks. And about modern art, it's always quite difficult to decide whether it's worth something or not. So some of NFT phenomenon nowadays depend fully on crowd's opinion, marketing, and hype. I think you know it. And the second argument, some risk to be scammed. Well, there is a rule in crypto world and every trade that sounds like do your own research. And it means that everybody should count only on their own opinion on any trade. Well, let's go on. And I want to tell you about Liquidifty. This is a cross-chain NFT marketplace based on Binance Smart Chain. We provide various opportunities for NFT artists and for collectors and for GameFi players, such as limited NFT drops, special offers, and collectors contests. Also, we're well known for our massive support of young artists, and soon we are going to implement cross-chain NFT oracles, loans under NFT collateral, NFT vaults, and some more options. Let's look at these stats. You can look closer on the picture, and here are distinctive features of the Liquidifty marketplace. As you can see, we are ranked top 10 for trading volume in the last 30 days. Every chain, every blockchain has commissions, and Binance Smart Chain commissions are quite low. Among other marketplaces, we have probably the lowest commissions, like just 5%. We have already a lot of artists who have minted their artworks on our platform, and there are more than 50,000 active users in social media who are interested in Liquidifty. Next topic is our GameFi section. We're interested not only in NFT art, but also in games. We work with such games like CryptoBlades, Cyber City, Spaceport Arcade, Equinox, Expansion, and many others. So, game projects that wish to be listed on our platform can customize their placement, mint their own NFTs, create a special individual address, and add their own description. Also, they can create a financial system for their game, and we provide them technical support and social media support. Some of the games have sold NFTs more than $1 million in a short term, and among them Equinox and Drunk Rabbits. And I want to tell you more about Drunk Rabbits because this is an NFT browser play-to-earn game which is developed by our team. Here you can read main rules of this game. And your main mission in Drunk Rabbits is to survive among all other drunk, crazy rabbits. And this game is quite fun and crazy, so you can spend there a lot of time and earn at the same time. Well, usually such games can be entered through purchase of NFT, but our is available also through free-to-play mini games. So let's see our 6 types of rabbits. We have a collection of 10,101 Genesis rabbits, and there are 6 types of them. You can see them. Each rabbit has a unique set of characteristics and unique appearance. And also, every rabbit has his own or her own story, how they got into the dump. So we have some psychological aspects also. Let's go on. Well, play-to-earn game is a type where the player can not only spend his or her time in game, but also earn money with it, earn cryptocurrency. As I already said, usually people should buy something to play with, but there are different models. For example, scholarship. And scholarship is a type of play-to-earn game when the owner of an NFT leases his NFT to a player who can do some actions, who can actively play, and with this he can have some income, and after that they will share the income. All right, about Drunk Rabbits game mechanics. We have core games and mini games and some other mechanics, like you can collect the robots, the weapons, other street garbage, and be the coolest on the streets. Also, our core games include store robberies, bank robberies, drunk races, dance battles, and many other will be here. Also, you can create or join a gang and be more powerful, have more opportunities with your rabbit. And the last option is farming. All right. Here you can see some examples of our rabbits. And I should say that visual part is one of the key parts in such games. It's very important to have your NFT looking good, looking beautiful. Our mission and vision. We'd like to build a safe and secure open digital space for buying, selling, and discovering exclusive digital items. We'd like to become the largest and most popular marketplace for NFTs at the top of Binance Smart Chain. Also among them is building a strong and helpful community and support young artists and startups. So in other words, it's building a creative platform So collaboration with GameFi projects and NFT others, in our opinion, leads to the fact that Liquidifty becomes a platform that accumulates all parties concerned, all who is interested in this, like artists, collectors, games, and players. And it's easier for all to get what they want when they all are in the same platform, right? So our platform becomes an environment for creativity, collecting arts, and earnings through your favorite activity. Here you can see some aspects, and we'd like to hold it. And about insights and expectations. Let's talk about our future. Let's dream a bit. We think that we know that many large video game companies have already expressed their opinion about NFT, and many of them want to cooperate with blockchain developers and with NFT as they see the future in NFT. The users want usually to increase their capabilities and go beyond the game. And NFT, metaverse, VR, and other aspects of modern time, they give this opportunity. So, since gamification takes place in every or almost every part of our modern life, we can expect that it will be used in education, in the fight against such today's problem like depression, social tension, and a sedentary lifestyle. Next, just imagine the mix of VR, sports game, and a play-to-earn model, or educational projects in which it will be possible to receive a reward for successfully passing exams, and based on a real history of academic performance, which cannot be faked in blockchain. People could receive offers for an internship and payment for it at the same time. Next point. NFT objects in broad sense are the opportunity to move to a new level in conditions of limited resources and our modern environmental problems, like ecological problems, that we don't have enough material to create and we have too much garbage. So fewer physical objects would create fewer garbage, and as well as a waste of resources for their creation. So I think this is a very good solution of the problem. And in addition, already now, thanks to the economy of NFT games and redistribution of finance, there is some help to residents of countries with poor economy. In general, NFT is the future of intellectual property, and NFT games are an opportunity for the players to monetize their time in the game. So, thanks for watching. Now we're ready for your questions. Jessica, I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted. Okay, thank you for sharing, Ekaterina, about Liquidifty as well as about the NFT and GameFi. And now our audiences have been curious and excited to learn more about the industry and your project. We have several comments, both on the YouTube chat as well as in our respective association groups. So let's start with the. Oh, okay. So there was this one comment from Hano who mentioned that there's this problem in terms of the value guarantee. Isn't this like the same in the case of real world art? In his or her opinion, yeah, it's the nature of art that creates ambiguity.
Well, sure, I agree with it. But I think that this question is applied more to modern art because the art from the past ages, we know very good that this is art and this is just something that isn't existing now from the past. It's not art because we don't see it, right? And everything from the modern time, like text, literature, art, music, yes, we should think, is it something or just nothing?
Okay. That's quite interesting. Thank you for sharing your insights. And then we also have another question from Jinwoo Song. So he asked how to support a game file long time running if everyone earns from it. So this is more of a question on the sustainability of the business model.
So yes, you're right. And this sphere is new. So there are just new ways to make a research, to be sure. And also every game should have good mechanics, good economics. And also there are the same rules like in usual using blockchain and using cryptocurrencies like holding, staking, and etc.
Okay. Do you like perhaps have any examples that you could share with us from your past projects?
Excuse me again, please.
Is there any like real life examples that you could share with us?
Oh, I should think about it. I don't know.
We still have time. So I understand because this field is quite new in the sense that it's still developing and rapidly evolving. Okay. So we also have another question. Let's not dwell on that one. We also have another question from Tsinghua. So if I'm an ordinary art creator, how can I determine the initial value of my work after it becomes NFT?
The same problem as with all art, as I already mentioned. You can determine it. Yeah. So you can put it by yourself, but the market will show you. Are you right or not?
Okay. But what about the initial price? Because at first, when you're putting the NFT online for sale, then there, of course there's like supposed to be a benchmark, right? I think the question here is, do I get to set the initial price like in auctions? Do I get to say, okay, this is worth $5, or will the market ultimately decide the bottom price for you?
There's no initial price. You put it by yourself. Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we see that many things can be sold for $1, but then they are bought by somebody for thousands of dollars.
Okay. Okay, so it's completely determined by the market.
Yes, market.
All right, thank you. And then we also have another question here from Jimu Song again. So there are already actually a lot of GameFi competitors in BSC ecosystem. So who would you say are your biggest competitors, and what is your or Liquidifty's strategy to go against the competitors?
I think this can be a bit inner information.
Sorry?
Yes, we have a lot of competitors like Sandbox, Axie, and I can't say that we have the same in-game mechanics. And the art is different, and other questions are a bit secure information.
Okay, so basically you are saying here that you have different business models in terms of game mechanics, also the products that you're offering.
Yeah, different models, different mechanics. We are metaverse, not just a game. So there is a story, there is our art, and we try to offer something unique to our users.
Okay. And that something unique is something that is still kept in the secrets.
And something interesting.
Okay. All right. Maybe so. Because in the interest of time, maybe I'll just ask one last question for you. Personally, what do you think is the most exciting thing in NFT? I know there's a lot of things happening, right? But I'd love to hear what you personally are excited about.
Well, as I said already, the best thing is not just in NFT, but in this idea of metaverse. I think it's very fruitful, creative, and that we will have a lot of big chances in it, because I think it can be used in very different aspects. And as the beginning of internet, we're just in the real beginning, and we can do it as we want. And it will be changed many times, I think, like the internet was many years ago. So this is just a new form of realizing your art, a new form of creativity.
Okay. So the creativity part.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Katerina, for sharing your thoughts and also about Liquidifty today. Due to time constraints, we'll have to move on, but please feel free to say and reply to any of our audiences through the chat box. And maybe you can also join us in our metaverse session later.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So now, thank you guys for staying, and then we'll move on to our second speaker for today. So let's welcome Han Liu and Kelly from Commitable.
Cool. So hello everyone. My name is Han Liu. I'm from the Commitable protocol, and I used to study and work in Tsinghua University. So it's a great honor and very happy to be part of this event. I will be making this presentation with Kelly, right? And Kelly can start like introducing a bit about the background, the general background of this protocol, this project, and our general motivation here. And I will step further to more details. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Before we dive into the world of Commitable, so hello, you're not sharing the screen. I cannot see the screen.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Okay, so let's move on. Before we dive into the world of Commitable, I want to share some development of open source software with you. In the late 70s, manufacturers withheld source code and required license use of software. Proprietary software took over market share in the world of technology. Citizens need to pay for most of the software. Then Richard Stallman asked a question: what does society need? That is freedom and information available to its citizens, he noted. Thus, he founded the GNU project in 1984 to create a free operating system, and the free software movement started. From then on, open source has been flourishing. Eric Raymond wrote the Cathedral and the Bazaar to talk about collaboration models of how source code was developed. 5 years later, Mozilla Firefox sets its code open and free. Firefox went on to be one of the most popular browsers of the 2000s. Another open source giant, Linux, has eaten the world. 96% of web servers and 79% of Android smartphones run Linux. Today, we have blockchain open source projects such as Ethereum. In a word, A new model of collaboration with freedom and openness as its core concept has been successfully established and shifted how the world works. Open source collaboration is representative of this new paradigm. A survey shows that 98% of enterprises use open source software. 84% of Fortune 100 companies use GitHub Enterprise. Meanwhile, there are over 73 million developers and over 61 million repositories on GitHub, one of the world's largest open source code hosting platforms. As the scale of co-hosting continues to grow, the issues of community motivation and ecological governance of open source projects are becoming increasingly critical. A large number of small and medium-sized open source projects lack contributors. 71% of a repository have no more than 10 contributors. Also, contributor activity is unsustainable. 99.95% of hosted repositories are underactive, even start projects with a large number of contributors. Now let's take OpenSL as an example. OpenSL is a well-known open source project in the field of information security and cryptography. It secures thousands of web servers and many products sold by multi-billion-dollar companies, but it operates on a shoestring budget. It typically receives about $2,000 in donations a year and has just one employee who works full-time on the open source code. This finally caused the famed bug called Heartbleed, with millions of dollars lost. Anyone can read the memory of the systems. In other words, the account, passwords, and emails were leaked. The heart-bleeding bug has revealed 2 pain points in the current situation of open source ecosystem. First, developers are unable to profit from their intelligence and diligence. Second, small and medium-sized projects lack incentives for contributors and senior developers. All above have led us to a question: what is the path to a sustainable open source ecosystem? Now let's welcome Han Liu to give more details about this idea.
Okay, thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. So as Kelly has already mentioned, that the general goal we're trying to achieve here is to establish an open source ecosystem for the software, which is sustainable, right? So for us, this is not a straightforward task to do. It is more like a three-dimensional jobs to finish, right? So first of all, the sustainability can only be achieved if we can have support to cover the whole development lifecycle instead of one specific phase, right? So commonly, in the process of software development or software engineering, when you have an idea of making some software, you probably would start from writing down some specifications or requirements. Then you would generate the high level and detailed design of the target system, right? The target software. And you probably would verify and validate your design. And after that, you start to writing your code. And after which you will probably be testing your implementation at different levels, right? You can have unit test, you can have integration test. And every time you write some new code, you probably need to write regression test to see that everything is under control, right? So once you have the full implementation and have it fully tested, sometimes you need to deploy your software into the practical, the industry environment, right? So you need to deploy your software into the target environment. And after its official launch, sometimes you need operation and maintenance to guarantee that everything is reliable and safe for your software. So basically, this is a systematic process, not only writing the code and running the code, right? And the second thing we have in mind is to have a sustainable collaboration, so that someone is allowed to post a development task, and the other one, the developer, would be able to deliver as agreed, right? So you don't want to argue with someone that whether some requirements are correctly enforced or not. And lastly, what we trying to have here is a sustainable incentive models, right? So it does not has to be necessary to be like economic incentives, but I mean, for developers participating in open source software projects, so they would like to have the records of their development work. They would like to have proof of their contributions to the specific project, right? And it will also be nice for them to have a specific tool to benefit from participating in this specific projects. So basically, this is not a straightforward thing to do, and this can be a three-dimensional space. So what we have proposed and offered in this context is called Commitable, right? So basically, Commitable is a decentralized open source protocol that incentivizes all participants to contribute to well-specified development tasks and claim their contributions as the native token called CMT. So basically, this is a non-fungible token, a native token on Commitable. So this is the general picture. I believe that the simplest way to understand Commitable is to think of Commitable as the word to commit, to mint, and to trade, right? So basically, this is a three-step process. And so in the very first step, the developers are allowed to use their software commits from different open source software projects, custodian services, for example, like GitHub or GitLab or any other types of systems and platforms, right? So developers are allowed to use their commits on those platforms as the input to Commitable, right? And these commits can be like covering not only the development, not only the coding phase, but also, as I mentioned earlier, the specification phase, the design phase of the software, the verification, validation phase of the software, or even the operation and maintenance phase of the software. That means that we're not, so there might be different forms of software assets or software artifacts included in in the Commitable project, right? So those different software artifacts will be associated with their commits, and the commits will be used as the input of Commitable, right? And the second step is mint. So basically, Commitable is trying to generate this CMT non-fungible token for the developers. But the fundamental, the key property we're trying to have here is accountability, which means that we do not want some NFT token that has been minted out of nowhere, right? So we would like to know what kind of information, what kind of data has been encapsulated by the CMT token, by the NFT token. So we want it to be accountable. We want it to be verifiable. So this is the key objective here. And once you have you have minted your CMT token on Commitable, we have also offered a marketplace for the investors, for the token owners to trade with each other. In this way, the projects itself, the developers themselves would be able to fund themselves, to sustain, to support themselves, rather than only receiving support from the outside. So basically, in short, the Commitable is a decentralized open source protocol, is a word to commit, to mint, and to trade. So somebody may say that so basically this is like generating an NFT token out of a software commit. So where is the challenge, right? So if we look at the first those commits at the top half, right? So basically, these are two real commits from the Open Zeppelin open source projects, and Open Zeppelin is a widely used, very popular development framework and library for smart contracts, right? So on the left side, we have a very simple commit that resolves the conflict between Ownable and the ERC20 token contracts. So basically, it is renaming the function of the contract. And on the right side, we're actually, the commit here is actually fixing a potential vulnerability issue, right? So basically, these are two different commits, as we can see here, because they have different hashes of the commits, right? But they are actually, there are more than only the hash of the commits, right? Because they are doing basically different things here in the project. And in a more general sense, if we look at the bottom case, right? So there are two pieces of Java programs which look unlike to each other, but if you take a further look, they're actually implementing a very similar functionalities here, right? So this is actually very common in the software industry, that you might have two kind of code which look unlike to each other, but functions quite similar to each other, right? So the real challenge here is not only knowing that two commits or two software are different to each other, right? We would like to know how they are different from each other. So it's more like understanding not only the surface, but also the ingredients behind those software, behind this software commits, right? So the solution to this challenge here, what we offer here is an accountable software tokenization technology. So this is based on the Transparency Center technology. This is a patented technology and backed by many years research works. So I have put several related links here. These are all like previous related presentations that are describing different parts of this Transparency Center technology. So generally, the commit will be analyzed in this Transparency Center to generate, to mint a new CMT token here. And more specifically, the CMT token will be associated with a piece of meta commit data that describes, that systematically describes the fundamental knowledge and core value of the commits of the software, right? So basically, we can have three layers of information: the basic information of the commit, the structure and the semantic updates that have been introduced by the commit in the software, right? And so we can have our own transparency center operators and our own transparency center and analysis algorithms. But more importantly, we can have an open ecosystem that anyone else could participate in the committable protocol and to be part of this transparency center, and probably using well-defined, well-designed algorithms by themselves, right? So in general, Transparency Center can be considered as a combination of trusted computing and formal verification. And it performs trusted software analysis. So the process is fully automated and it's trusted based on either cryptography solutions or maybe hardware-based trusted computing solutions. And what we are trying to offer here is an unbiased abstraction of the software, of the commits to that software. So it's way beyond like hashing a commit or using hash-like static information to generate an NFT token out of this software or maybe commits. And so these are like screenshots from our own websites. So this can be used to help better understand the meta commit associated with the CMT token, right? So if we zoom out, we can have, like on the left side, we can have a very high level overview or summary of the meta commit. So basically there are several basic information and several numbers that describing the semantics or the structure updates introduced by the commits, as I mentioned earlier. But we can also zoom in. If we zoom in, we can have very low level and different forms of representation of the software itself. So the advantage of introducing the transparency center technology and the meta commit data inside this CMT token is we would be able to understand not only that different commits are different, but also we would be able to understand why they are different to each other and what's the relation between different CMT tokens, so that we would better understand the development, the contribution behind these tokens from different developers. So that is the main idea here. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a marketplace in Commitable so that different participants would be able to join this marketplace and to trade their CMT tokens, right? And so the payment from the trader, from the buyer, would partially go to the current CMT owner and would partially go to the original developer of the commit as a development royalty, right? And also it's possible for a donator to make donations to not only an entire project, but also specifically to some CMT token. That means you're actually donating to a specific developer or to a specific piece of code or piece of artifacts in the open source software projects. So currently so this is our website of the Commitable protocol, and currently we're running the early bird commit program, and this is the wave 1 program. And so the benefits to join wave 1 is first of all, free migration of your minted CMTs. Let's say if you have minted CMT tokens on Commitable, then when Commitable goes live, you would have free tokens on the live version, right? And you will be receiving coupons to trade to reduce your cost in future trading and mint of your CMT tokens. And you will also receive a kudo demonstrating that you're one of those early birds, right? And more importantly, we're actually organizing a mentorship support so that you will have the chance to talk to world-leading computer scientists and crypto experts in this space, to talk to them, to interact with them frequently, right? And you will all the early participants will be granted the rights of community governance in the future. And if you're interested in this project, I suggest that you scan the QR code and directly make the submission to submit the application. And thank you all for listening, and welcome aboard to Commitable. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Hi, thank you so much for the very insightful session, Kelly and Liu Han. It's really interesting to learn about how NFT is used not only for art, but also for code. Okay, so let me look at the chat box. So we have here one comment. Let me just pull that up. Okay, one comment from Hunter. So what will happen if I sell my code first and then I need to rewrite it into other projects? For example, Quicksort is used everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So actually tokenize your into the CMT tokens, and the common place that your code might be used in different projects. That's also possible. And so the possibility here is that you might be able to mint different copies of your different project is capability to
Sorry, Han, there is something wrong with your internet, and I have to stop you. You have to check your internet, and maybe let me try to ask answer this question, but I think it's too difficult for me. Is Ham back now? Are you okay with your internet?
Sorry. Is that
Okay.
better now?
Yeah,
It is
it's
better
much
now.
better.
Thank you,
Sorry
Kelly.
about that. Yeah. Okay. So I'll get back to this question because it's a good question. Yeah. So in short, you would be able to choose whether you're trying to tokenize your commit in only one project or maybe in multiple projects. But again, if you have multiple tokens of a very similar functional code, then when they are traded, when they are in the market, we will be having this capability to tell the market that these are actually relating to one common functionality because we have the meta commit. So we would be able to analyze in detail what is actually behind this commit. So you have the feasibility to mint your commit, your CMT token. Of course, we wanted that. What we want here is that to mint meaningful tokens, not instead of meaningless tokens, because that way you will be able to actually push forward the project, the development of the project itself. But in theory, you might be able to do so, but we have the capability to tell the market that they're actually quite similar to each other. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for the explanation. And then we also have another question from Song again. So he's asking, he asks you, could you please re-explain what is semantic feature?
So basically, semantics of the software is telling you what the software is trying to act. So what are the functionalities of the software, right? Of the program. So you can have high-level programming intentions, or you can have low-level programming dependencies. That from the high level, maybe you are trying to introduce a new feature in the software. So this is quite high level. But in the low level, as you write your code, so the low level semantics tells you that you have different variables, let's say 3 variables, A, B, and C, and their value are kind of dependent to each other because of the way you write the code. So at the high level, the semantic means what kind of functionalities or what kind of behavior this software is able to manifest. But at the low level, the semantics tells you, let's say the dependencies in your like binary code or your executables. So we can have different layers of this information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we also have this one last question here. It's from our private group association. It comes from Dan from Yonsei. So will multiple commits or NFTs stack up to build a reputation for developers?
Yeah. Okay. So again, good question. I mean, so the reputation system, the design of a reputation system, I would say it is orthogonal to the design of Commitable. So we're not trying to set up a reputation system for all contributors, telling them which one is better and which one is less better. We're not trying to say that, but I would say based on Commitable, based on all the CMT tokens, based on all the meta commits that describe the core value, the core knowledge of the software, of the commits, the developer itself would be able to demonstrate its reputation, demonstrate its capability via creating all sorts of CMT tokens. So they would be able to do that. But I guess it's not a very easy work to set up this fair and reliable reputation system, like independent by Commitable. So I guess we can have an open ecosystem to do that. This is a very important question in this case. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then maybe there's just one last question from Song, and then this is going to be our last question for today because we're at the end of our event. Just a confirmation on Can we understand high-level semantic as APIs of the code, low-level as a code logic?
Yeah, I think your interpretation is quite good, and I probably would use them in my following talks. And I would say that high-level semantics are like a bit higher than APIs of the code, because sometimes it can be quite it's not that very specific, because APIs basically tells you the parameters, the type of your program, the parameters, the data used in your, like, let's say, functions. So it's quite programming related. So sometimes you can have a bit higher than that. For example, you're trying to fix a bug, you're trying to optimize an algorithm, or you're trying to introduce a new feature. These are like very high level concepts and topics. And so APIs are apparently a part of the implementation that realize those high level intentions. But again, I would say that APIs can be part of this high level semantics. And the logic, right? You mentioned the logic. The code logic is definitely the low level semantics in this context. And you're right. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for the elaboration, and thank you for coming here, Kelly and Johan. We'll have to drop you from our streaming and then move on to our closing. But please feel free to stay around and answer any questions that might pop up in the chat box later, and then also join our gathering session after the event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we are at the end of our event. So I'd like to thank you again to Katerina, Kelly, and Johan for the presence today. It's been our pleasure to host you, and we wish you all the best of luck for your projects. For our audiences online, we also thank you for attending today, but please don't go offline just yet, because we're going to have an after-event session. Now, Subin from Blockchain at Yonsei will be sharing the details of the event. We'll be playing some games, and there's also going to be some NFT airdrops. Hi, Subin.
Hi. Thank you, speakers, for your insightful lectures. It has been an enlightening time. Now, everyone, please click on the link provided in the chat box to continue the second session hosted by Yonsei University. We will have a networking time in the virtual space called GatherTown. And please use your computer to access the link. And after signing into the platform, you can create an avatar to enter the space like this. And make sure you write your name and association for your avatar in the indicated format. Thank you, and I will see you in GatherTown.